Good evening. Welcome to the Southborough Trails Committee meeting, August 3rd, 2023. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:34. I'll do a quick roll call. Tom McCoolier.
Here.
Satyendra Sharma.
Yeah.
Will Warren.
Here.
Isabella Bogdansky.
Here.
And Kat McKee. Great. So welcome, everyone. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the 6/29 meeting circulated earlier today. Thank you, Sati, for those for drafting those. Has everyone had an opportunity to review them? Edits, comments, discussion?
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Great. And when I call your name, let's do a vote. Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Will Warren,
Yes.
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, great. Motion passes. Wonderful. Okay, next up is the DCR Trails Work Plan. So we've now received a fully executed agreement. Let's just take a moment and celebrate that. That took a long time, right? So the agreement, the public access plan got in place last year. And so it's been a long time coming. I'm really glad. So all of our permits and agreements are in place now. So next step is to come up with a work plan, which we won't have much to do on that tonight, but in the coming meetings, we'll have a draft. We'll look at the draft, and the work plan is basically going to outline, and this is a 10-year agreement, right? So the work plan will stand the test of time, and if it needs to be updated for projects, we can do that with DCR. But it will have an annual maintenance plan for all of the trails that we oversee on DCR land. And that will include just the basic maintenance, the tree removal from time to time, that type of stuff. Projects that we know will happen on an ongoing basis. Maybe there's some signage or, other things like that. In addition to, we'll have the project that we're working on, phase 1 and phase 2 outlined. Well, phase 2 is not necessary because it's not on DCR property. So it'll just be phase 1, which is the fencing and the gate and the interpretive signs. So that is that. So that will actually be a good thing to get in place, and we can use that to kind of start our own maintenance plan, which now we've had several years of knowing kind of what it takes to maintain the trails, which we'll talk about trail maintenance later. Thank you for reaching out, Tom. We do have some more to do, so I'll be looking when we get to that section on the agenda to schedule some dates with everybody. But we understand a little bit more about what it takes so we can kind of put our own plan into place. So any questions or comments on the DCR work plan topic? Nope. Okay, next up is Peninsula Trail Phase 1, the Mass Trails Grant project update. So last we spoke, I think the fence in the riser shaft had been installed. So that's good to go. I've reached out to MWA to just check in about the fence, make sure it's all good. They didn't have any comments on the fence, but they did on the gate that we installed next to ADA. So staying with the fence for just a minute, I've reached out to Tim Davis. There was a small fee added to the invoice that wasn't on the initial quote, and I got an explanation from AnyFence. It's only $225, but I had to ask because it's different than our PO. So let me just give you the details on that. Let's see. Okay, clarification here. Okay, so basically it was a pin post, and so the way that it was written was, let's see, an additional $225 for the pin post. So he said, we set a pin post when we're unable to dig a hole to proper depth in a specific location. As with all fence companies, we have a pin post clause on our estimate and invoices. Setting a pin post entails drilling into a rock or a ledge setting a steel pipe into that hole and pouring 5,000 PSI strength hydraulic fast set cement and then sleeving over it. We did have 3 posts on the back right corner of the enclosure that were unable to be dug to the proper depth, requiring a pin post. It is listed on every single estimate we send as the following: in the event we hit ledge or other immovable surface while digging, a $75 charge will be added to drill and install a pin into said surface. So they had 3 of those. Like, well, that doesn't actually make 225, but regardless, that's why it's there. So not a big deal, but I do need to work with Carla in accounting to figure out how to get the invoice processed at a different amount than what the original PO is. And I'm assuming with this explanation, it's not going to be a big deal. So secondary, I'll show you the gate that's up. So let me share my screen. Okay, let me know when you see it. Everybody see?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. So this over here is the ADA parking on one side, and the other side, I mean, I think the intention was, if I'm was to have like one side, we talked about having a spot for a van and then a place to back up. So I'm thinking, and I think I need to touch base with DPW on the plan, or how I wrote the plan up actually, to see if parking is meant on both, on this side only, and this is the turnaround. Or if one side was just regular parking and the other side is van parking. I'm not quite sure, because there's a lot of space here to be able to figure that out. Bad picture. Okay, so here I'm just showing you a little bit of the mechanism of how it closes, and then this is the gate again. Now, when I reached out to MWA and said, hey, is the gate okay? I had the same question they did, and they raised it, which is, how are we going to lock this guy? Right. And so there is, and so MWA said we need to put multiple locks, and we don't see how. And so I reached out to AnyFence to get their recommendation on how to lock it. And he sent me this picture. Wait a minute. Yeah, here. Where did that go? Here, I can't open it. I don't know. It's not opening.
Double click on.
I have 3 screens. It could be on the 4th hidden screen somewhere. There it is. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna go to my downloads and do that instead. Okay, there we go. All right, are you guys seeing that?
Yes.
Okay, so there you see that little hole. So that's only good for one lock, right? And they have multiple locks with multiple entities. So I asked if this would work. Do you see this image? So something like this, but one of the, like that loop will not go through that hole. So you have to figure out what kind of roping mechanism will work, and then they can tie off and add as many. So he thought that might work, but that the hole would have a problem getting that through. So we'll figure something out. I did reach back out to AnyFence and ask them if they could share any insights on what might work for that. So we'll work through that challenge, but otherwise it should be pretty good. And one other comment was, as we had discussed, is putting a boulder somewhere so that people can drive around, but not so much in an area where, you know, I think this side looks like it's going to be better for the wheelchair accessibility, right, rather than that side. And we can look at the way the ground is, but we'll make sure the boulder is not on both sides so that we're keeping a path open.
Instead of putting boulders, you know, those in the malls they put some pillars. I mean, you can with wooden, you can put wooden pillars at close distance so that your wheelchair can pass. But
yeah, like a post.
Yeah, post. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could get a nice big rock. Actually, the funny thing is there's a huge boulder in the woods just down the road that I spied when I was coming back from the fence. I was like, that would be a nice boulder. So I might make this suggestion just because it's right there and just need someone to figure out how to get it. I don't know if we could all push it. Maybe not. So any questions or thoughts or comments on this piece? Okay, so I reached out to our ADA consultant, the one that did the town's ADA assessment, and asked if he is open and available to come and do a site walk with us to figure out what other things we can do to this trail to make it more accessible. And he can have suggestions on maybe some benches for rest stops and things like that. We can talk signage with him and other things. So I've put out some dates and times for them to come out. I will let the committee know. I'm looking at Mondays and Fridays. I'll let the committee know when what the date is that they're planning on coming, and whoever can join is welcome to join. If we have a quorum, I will post a meeting.
Can I add a comment on this? The Southborough Public Accessibility Committee is inviting the Mass Office on Disability and the Massachusetts Commission for the Blind to send representatives to our meetings to discuss navigation aids for all citizens, but also for those who are visually impaired or otherwise disabled. And we're asking them to comment on what kind of apps or what kind of solutions other towns are using, or that the state is going to be backing for trails, for the roads in the town, or let's say landmarks outside of buildings, and then inside buildings as well. And actually, we might have a representative from the Mass Commission of the Blind that they have reached out, and they're said that they can come. They might be coming either the 22nd or the 29th of this month.
22nd is on a Tuesday and the 29th is on a Tuesday.
Right.
That would be at a 9 a.m. meeting in person.
Yes.
All right, will you keep us posted in an email?
Sure, I will.
If we can go, we can. If we can't, we can't.
Yeah,
Good.
but what we're looking for, recommendations. I mean, there's just a ton of different apps that that are being proposed out there, but the market is very fragmented right now, and apps come and go quickly. So we'd like to understand if the state has chosen any that they're going to back,
Yeah,
or other towns.
that's great, Will. You'll be our guy for that. So our point person, not our guy, but thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, and we can actually ask the consultant what, if they have any experience with that. One of the so the individual I'm working with his name is Jim, and his organization that he works with is called something that I'm going to tell you. It is called, actually, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I'm sharing my email right now, which could get us all into trouble. There's nothing there, but it's just my email. It's the organization's called Center for Living and Working, Inc. That's the consultant that did the ADA assessment. So his colleague, Mike Kennedy, is in a wheelchair, and he will be joining us that day. So he, as will be able to give us his perspective and insight on what it's like to experience the trail from a wheelchair's perspective. So that's gonna be a really important conversation and discussion to have. So I'm really looking forward to that meeting.
When will he be coming out?
We are looking at some dates and times, Mondays and Fridays. Some tentative dates are August 7th, which is a Monday, August 18th, or August 21st.
Okay.
I proposed some early morning meetings so that we who work could have a more successful time at attending. He's asked for later meetings so that he doesn't have an awful commute getting here.
Well, I was thinking that some of the people from the Public Accessibility Committee might be very interested in attending that. Unfortunately, we're losing Bonnie. She resigned as of the last meeting because of a health issue.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too. So, but she might still come to something like this, because I know that in the past she has spoken about making certain that things are wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is the type of meeting we want to bring in others at this juncture. Not that it's not an inclusive meeting, it's just that it's a very specific topic and agenda that we need to get through, and I wonder what do you guys think? I just don't want 5 other people in another committee to show up and have 5 times 10 minutes worth of conversation that derails from the specific point. And I'm not being rude when I say that. I'm just concerned about timing and stuff.
I think that's fine. I guess one thing would be, could I invite the other members of the Public Accessibility Committee to propose any questions that they'd be interested in hearing?
That's a wonderful idea.
And that way you don't have to worry about conversations, and you can incorporate
If they
questions
wanted to
into what
send
you're doing.
another representative in addition to you, Will, that's fine. And again, I'm not saying the whole committee can't come. We can't really say that, right? We're trying to be more inclusive than exclusive. I just want to make sure that it's focused on the topic that it needs to be.
Well, understood, but there's also maybe a good reason to include Marguerite Landry, and that is that she's on the select board. So, a little advertising may not be a bad thing, but we can talk about that.
Yeah. Well, if you want to put it to them, I guess I could invite a representative in an email and say if ADA wants to have a representative there, you're welcome to send someone in addition to Will, who I'm assuming you're going to want to be there if you can make it, right, Will? Yeah, that's fair. Good suggestion, Will. Thank you for always thinking that way. Just making a note. Okay. All right, so yeah, so that when we talk to them, we'll talk about signage, we'll talk about seating, and we'll talk about road surface area and any kind of future plans too while we have them. We had set aside some small budget for this type of conversation, and some of the conversation I would like to have is, in the future, if we wanted to expand the accessibility of the trail, we can't work with the slopes. Some of the slopes are just something we can't manage, but how far, if we were to pave the, part of the road, how far would that expand the accessibility, the trail that qualifies as accessible, right? So I would like for future projects to consider what we would need to do and get some, thinking around that. Does that make sense? Okay. So that is that. And then we need to talk about interpretive signs. So I'm finding myself in a very, very fully deployed in a volunteer capacity as well as work. So does anyone have any bandwidth? After vacations, I think someone's going to Switzerland, right? But does anyone have bandwidth to kind of help with, come to the next meeting with a draft example of, 1 or 2 historical signs that have the specific topic kind of, this is the topic I think we should talk about, and some 5 bullet points that might be important to include on the sign. We can figure out pictures later.
One of the things was that I was saying I can send the document also, the this thing, the grist mill, Nichols grist mill, right?
Yep.
So that
The
that
grist mill.
can be put. Yeah, I can send the document, related document.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, does anyone have so we want to highlight there's going to be an interpretive sign on the other side where the footbridge is going to kind of highlight that double arch bridge. So that's another sign over there. We talked about the East Main Street connection, right? And we talked about maybe including some information about what it was like to build the reservoir, like how they had to take all the housing, they had to take it down, and some of that. I would find that interesting. Do you guys find that interesting if one of our signs focused on kind of the people aspect and what it was like to, commandeer the land back and flood it and go through that?
Where do you get the information? I mean, the one that DCR.
Yeah, Andy, we'll go to Andy.
He showed us that. I think we.
Yeah.
Besides that, but there was nothing mentioned
I
about
know it's the text is going to be tricky, and we reached out to historical, and we can again, but I kind of feel like they're gonna be, their best role, I think, is gonna be reviewing material we put together, right? Not putting material together. So we put something in front of them to respond to, and they can tell us, yeah, this is good, or maybe you think of this angle or that angle, that kind of thing. So, yeah. So, okay. When you're going away for how long? A couple weeks in?
No, 1 week. That's it.
When?
1 week.
Oh, 1 week.
Oh, when will next Monday, next Tuesday. in fact.
Okay, so if we plan our meeting out far enough away, it will give you some time to.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we keep talking about signage, but we don't do anything. So let's see if we can shift now that we've got some of the other stuff done and the fencing and that kind of stuff is coming to a close, we can shift our direction to the signage and see how that goes. Okay, that's that. Now, any questions or comments on that piece? No. Sati, can you make note that we have a visitor, Sam Stivers? Hello, Sam.
Okay,
Just,
Sam, yeah.
raise your hand if you have any questions or whatnot. Okay, next step is phase 2 Peninsula Trail. So we have a very interesting development, and we should all give a huge thank you to Sati for finding, is it a nonprofit? Is it what that what they call
Nonprofit.
themselves, a nonprofit? Let me see. It's an organization, I'm going to now share screens again, that does pro bono engineering work for underserved communities in a variety of topic areas. Like, let's see if I can get to, let me just let you read this piece here. Let me know when you're done. Okay, everybody good?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna click on communities for a minute and see if, yeah, this is good. Who we work with and how we help. I'm gonna let you read this. Okay. We good?
Mhm.
Okay, so this organization has an application process. You submit the application for your project, and so Sati reached out to the organization, gave them a quick rundown of what we were trying to accomplish, and they said, yes, it sounds like your project would be of interest, so submit an application. So when I read the application further, I am trying to find what I was looking at. Resources. I read, so what is it? Criteria for an underserved community, because we're technically not an underserved community. So if you look in this table here, this is you must fit at least one of the following: median household income, poverty rate, and water rates plus median household income. We do not meet this criteria, right? Because Southborough just doesn't meet the criteria. So I scheduled a meeting with a representative from the organization and explained the project in more detail. I explained our community demographics, and I explained that very transparently that we do not want to, go after help that would be better served in another community that needs it. But that we were trying to build an accessible trail, which would serve a user group that has been traditionally in Southborough underserved as far as trails go. And so while we don't want to try to fit a square or a square peg in a round hole, we are trying to do this thing. And she said she appreciated the transparency. After having the conversation, she thought it was warranted to go ahead and submit an application. So And what that would mean is if our application were accepted, they have a committee that reviews the information, all the applications, then we would be put on a list and they would be able to do the engineering work that we need for the footbridge and the volunteers would be able to do it for the footbridge and the boardwalk pro bono. Right, and then we would put that in our bid package and go to town. That would save, if they were able to do this in its totality, $100,000. Right,
Hmm.
so that's huge and definitely worth our effort. So I want to talk to the committee, and Sati has already started the application. So, and we have much of this already written in one form or another. Our Mass Trails grant will be immensely useful because we have all of the demographics of the older age population in town, the housing developments that are near the trail and all this stuff in our surrounding communities. And even though we're not an environmental justice oriented community, there are some surrounding communities and we could do some outreach and programming to try to bring some of those in. So we've already written all of that out. We can take and just kind of piecemeal paste and copy and paste that into an application. So what do you guys think about this wonderful opportunity that Satyendra Sharma done for us?
It's good.
Sounds great. Would we be paying travel costs for an engineer to come out?
I don't know. They are connected. They have a network of volunteers all over the country.
Okay,
So I'm thinking they would just tap local volunteers.
great. That's even better.
Yeah.
This is great, Sati. This is really great.
Yeah, thank you so
Mm.
much.
It almost
So-
seems too good to be true.
It's early phase and it might not work with our timing. She did say their timing might be not as, it might not work. It might not line up, but it's worth an investigation. And so I'm happy to pull this together. What we'll need, so the application is due by August 23rd. They will meet on the 30th. Is that right, Sati?
Yes.
So, and she said they would know fairly quickly within a week of whether they would want to move forward with this or not. Okay, so that's nice turnaround time. So I'll be pulling this together and I think what we'll need to do is, and Sati, this might, if you said you're gone next week, the week of the 7th. So you'll be back by the week of the 14th.
Yes.
Okay, so we can meet the week of the 14th if you're available, if folks are available. And
Meanwhile, I can send some information. I I read this. This is very good document actually what you shared. So at least it gives us a kind of starting point.
yeah, you
not
already
that-
sent me what you had drafted. Is that what you mean?
Right. Yeah, no, but more arguments. You have been very transparent with her. So the thing is that we also want to transparent, but we want to highlight what we are, ADA compliance and all
Yep.
those things.
I agree. Yeah. So what I'll do is draft something and then I'll circulate it to the team. And if
Yep.
we can meet the week of the 14th to
Sure.
chat about it, finalize any and incorporate feedback, and then we'll get it out by the 23rd.
That's
And this works in concert with, if the committee, so if we need more money, if we need another $100,000, we've got to get it somewhere. So we're, they're not having a fall town meeting, which takes that off the table of whether a CPA application would be considered earlier or not. So we've talked about going after additional CPA money. So the application is due by August 31st. So while we're filling out this application, we fill out that application, a lot of the same information will be happening at the same time. So it kind of makes it easy. And I say easy, that's relative. It's not really easy, but regardless, we have the quotes already. We're really armed with good information. So we'll pull that together at that same time. We can talk about it at that next meeting and then submit our CPA application. Now that's a longer process too. And we won't know until town meeting, but we'll start the discussion with CPC and go through that fall process. And if that were the way we had to go, the town meeting would vote in March, and then the funds aren't available they're available right away. They're not based on the fiscal year, right? So as long as an MOU is put in place, I think they're available right away. Does anyone remember how that works? I think it's not based on fiscal year. It's just based on, because that money's in a bucket sitting. Okay. So any questions, thoughts, or comments on that?
The only question I have, since, does the town of Framingham meet any of those qualifications? Criteria?
Thank you.
Good point.
Yes. They do.
So I think our
Well,
application has to
I don't-
stress that it's right on the border.
Now, I don't know if meet is true, but they are a community that has a more diverse demographic base, which may fit this, and the bridge is on the part of their property. Now, what that
Right.
means is I gotta pull some demographics from them and reach out to some of those people and do it soon, because that could take a little bit of time. Brilliant, Thomas. Brilliant.
Yep. Very good point.
Okay, nice. Any other great ideas? Keep them coming. Okay. Okay, now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is I reached out to Priscilla Ryder, who is the conservation agent officer, or however they describe the person there, in Marlborough. And I said, okay, you guys did a long boardwalk in the marsh, in the wetlands. How much was your engineering costs, right? Like, how did that work? And they did several little bridges. Well, Marlborough's bigger, and they have an engineering department and a building department bigger than us. And so they had other resources, so they were able to kind of work through it. And they did a lot of the boardwalk work themselves. They used helical piers, which, obviously we had quoted that as part of an option. Is it's less invasive because it drills as a corkscrew into the ground instead of having to put like, concrete and things like that. And they did their own borings. So the geotechnical, they didn't have to do all of that stuff. So it was an interesting conversation, but she brought up, because she has to do, they're doing another project that's a really long boardwalk that's going to span, like, maybe it's going to go around the whole reservoir or part of the reservoir. And she is exploring a new idea. I just moved screens. Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is a floating deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it floats, and they use them on water. Like a lot of times you'll see them like boat launches, or, they're in lakes and different places where they float up and they float down with the tides and water. So you don't have to worry about, being a certain, they just go with, and they can be ADA compliant. And they're less expensive. They're still modular. So you put them together in the same way. You'd use helical piers. So this might be an idea that would be less expensive, because that's the other thing we should be thinking about, right?
Yep.
If the fiberglass kit, it's ideal, right? But if we needed to look at a different kind of bridge to bring the cost down and be able to shift funds around to be able to spend, to have enough for engineering to be able to, what does the committee think about having to do that? Because we need to be realistic about our timeline, which is we have to have the funds encumbered by the end of next year. And we were hoping to have the project done by next year. And the CPA funds and this other pro bono work may delay the process a bit. So I just need to see what you guys are thinking as far as, I love the bridge kit idea, the fiberglass. We went with it for a very good reason. We pitched it, and that was what we wanted to do, to put in. But if we don't have enough money, would we consider other types of materials?
Two questions. First of all, what is it made of? And then the second question is, would there be some type of ramp or something that would allow wheelchairs to use it?
Wheelchairs, this is wheelchair accessible, so wheelchairs can use it.
I'm wondering about the ends of it. I'm sure that the width is correct, but what about actually getting a wheelchair on and off?
Yeah, so
Ramp.
if I play a video, are you guys able to see it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you see this?
Yep.
Okay, so let's just watch this video. This is a national park. So they have that little viewing section.
Mm.
Wow, we could do this from Central Street Playground right to downtown.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be
See this
great. That'd be
little
awesome.
platform, look at the little benches.
Yeah. This doesn't have any harmful chemicals, I guess, right?
Okay, so that was fun.
Would this be something that we could put next to an existing road?
What do you mean?
An existing causeway?
I wonder. You're talking about the Route 30 or
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
Route 85 or any of them?
I guess I'm talking about the one that, where, the entrance that we're talking, where we've put the gate at,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a causeway
Route 30.
right next to that. And I'm just
Yeah,
thinking,
Route
could we
Mhm.
put one there?
Yeah. Well, it's less invasive because you're you're using the helical piers and you're not having to get heavy equipment in there. You don't have to, it's a little bit easier install. So the one thing Priscilla was looking up is whether or not, because I asked the question, if it's made of plastic, is there any leaching that happens with the plastic over time and with the sun beating down on it? So she's getting some specs on that.
And also ice, the other issue would be ice, right?
Oh, making an anti-slip for ice.
Well,
Yeah.
not just anti-slip, but making sure it doesn't get torn apart by the ice. Right?
Well,
Maybe
I think that's interesting because the floating docks would, I don't know how that would work if they would go up above and the ice is, because they float with the water levels and they
Mm.
sit on the water level. So if they freeze, then
it may not be a big issue because we don't have a lot of currents in our reservoir, right? So, yeah.
But so, that's an idea. Like, I don't know if this idea would work for us, but and it's not really that's not going to solve the bridge problem, but how does the committee feel about because if you look, we're in a lot of national parks and stuff lately, even I'm like, how did they get that bridge there? I'm sure that didn't cost $100,000. Like I'm starting to think like, okay, well, what can we do differently to make this work? Follow the rules, but not spend the money. Have a nice bridge, but maybe it's not fiberglass. I don't know. Thoughts, comments?
Why do you need fiber? Actually, I saw last year in Yellowstone, they have the most difficult places to install the boardwalks because the earth beneath is
Yeah.
very the crust is very thin, and there are chemicals all over because of the hot springs.
Yeah.
So all those are wooden. They don't have fiberglass.
Yeah.
I think we should definitely pigtail off of what Priscilla's doing and let her, if she's gonna do all that research and stuff,
Yes, they're doing it for another project. So that would be for the boardwalk,
right.
and that would maybe save some dollars there. And we can see what kind of options we have for the bridge. As far as different thoughts there. Okay. So, as far as the application goes, though, I'm wondering if we have so much built into the way it is now that I kind of feel like our applications that we're applying for should be based on what we have collected data on, the prefab bridges and the boardwalks as we've quoted. And because I don't think we have a lot of time to sort this out necessarily. And if something changes, well, the only thing is, like, if we end up changing, well, if we change with the, if we do get the pro bono work for the engineering and we change the type of bridge, as long as we do it with enough advance notice before they're doing work, then I guess that would be satisfactory. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
No,
What I
What?
mean is like we submit the application based on a fiberglass kit. We continue to do this side research. Our application gets accepted.
yeah,
Determine that this side gig, that is a much better deal. And then we just let them know that that has shifted as far as the type, the project is
Mhm.
the same, it's just the materials are slightly different.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes, and fingers crossed that we can make something work, and that we can do this within the time frame we need. Get a little nervous, but anyway. All right, thanks all for that.
What is
Um,
the time frame we need?
Well, so the Mass Trails grant, and we're in good shape with that. We just have to get so I guess next step with that is I do need to submit, so the invoice is coming through, I need to submit for reimbursement. So we all need to submit our time as far as what we've talked about in each of these meetings, which we can go back to the agendas and kind of see and estimate. And I think Sati has put in the minutes sometimes that we spent 15 minutes here and there. And so I'll need timesheets. I'll send out a reminder for that. And then so the Mass Trails has to be fully expended and accounted for by the end of 2024. The same thing,
Okay.
for ARPA money, that needs to be fully encumbered by the end of 2024. And so that's our drop dead. And ideally in our world, I was hoping that the way we've been planning is that we get this project done by next year. Like I would like it done by 2024, December, and not wait to 2025, because I don't know that we can.
You might want to make, absolutely sure what is meant by encumbered in this case. I was kind of surprised that we were encumbering some money from the Public Accessibility Committee, and we were working with our accountant, and she had fairly specific criteria, like, you had to know exactly what you were buying and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
you had shared some details on that, so I think
Yeah.
we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
So I appreciate that warning, and yes, we will cross those Ts and dot the Is. Next up is the Choate Fund 2022 hike series, bench interpretive signs. So we have had one of the rain date yoga on the trails happened last Sunday. Super successful, 21 people, yay.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So that was really great. And I was surprised because it's July and August, and I was like, oh, those are hard months to program in, right? So that was great. And the next yoga on the trails is this Sunday. And we have, I think the number is 22 signed up for Sunday.
good.
So some may cancel, and that's fine. But that's going well. And so the question to the committee is this. Emma Bartolini, who's leading the yoga series, asked if there's any budget left to do. She likes the momentum, would like to do maybe one more in September, maybe late August or September. And so I said I would put it to the committee. Now we had set aside two nature hikes as part of the 2022 grant from Choate Fund. So we could take one of those nature hikes and apply it to yoga. I think that would be fine if the committee here thought that would be a good kind of juggling that, doing one less nature hike and doing one more yoga.
I mean, if she's getting such a large crowd, I think that's excellent, excellent for the Trails Committee, right?
I agree. Let's do the next for yoga in September.
Great,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yep.
So, okay, so we'll make that happen, and I'll circulate some dates for that. I think it's just one date, but she put out a couple.
Because I'm thinking when we say this stuff, our successful type of things like this yoga seems to be successful. That might be something we do year in and year out.
Yep, agree. And we have budget, right? So we can budget for her to do some springtime, fall time yoga sessions a couple times a year. That might be a great way of kind of repurposing or spending some of the budget towards programming. Okay, so we talked about benches. We're not prepared to finalize benches, but we've got to finalize benches. an interpretive signs, so that this is in different interpretive signs than what we were just talking about. This is gonna be, Isabella, you had talked about maybe doing something with trees at one point, like oak trees or something, and I think maybe we were talking about off-Ward Road as an option. So I want to know, does anyone have time to focus on that, come back to the next meeting with a proposal for us to respond to? Because I would like, if possible, to get at least one interpretive sign that would qualify and satisfy the Choate Fund grant from 2022 up this fall if possible.
Yes, I can do that.
Great. And it doesn't have to be trees, right? So if we're thinking Ward Road, right? It could be right at the end of Ward Road where people are entering, or because people can park there, but that might not be a good place because we're thinking of putting a trailhead kiosk there. That would probably be better, and not everyone comes from there. So we would obviously need MWA's permission. So if we do put something along there, you know, the other thing to think about, Bella, is, well, no, yeah. So think about, you know, a good location. If you want to brainstorm, I'm happy to, but if you're doing flora or fauna, making sure it's something that you're going to see along the trail, right? So they can say, like, if we're prepping them, oh, look for the identified 3 oak trees or 3 types of oak trees on this trail, and here you go, that type of stuff. We don't want to send them on a goose chase to, like, of something that's not out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sweet. Thank you very much for doing that. And next meeting might be focused on the 2 applications. So we might just touch base and just report back a quick, hey, this is what I have for, is this a good idea? And then we go send you off to the next meeting to flesh that out a little bit more. Does that sound like a plan?
Yes,
It'll
that sounds
be a
good.
2-stage thing, so you won't be on your own. And if anyone has questions when you have an assignment and you just want to brainstorm or talk about it, feel free to reach out. We're all here to support that, and we appreciate your volunteering to help. Okay, so we told Tim Davis that we would do an activity in July to celebrate Parks and Recreation Month, and I was unable to pull that off. So that is on me. I told Tim that we needed to reschedule. So we had proposed a geocaching / scavenger hunt, like a self-guided. I still think if the committee is in agreement, that's a solid idea. We just need to pull that together. Tom, you and I were going to work on that. Are you still open to doing some brainstorming offline? Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it might be something that we may, with 2 applications in August, it might be tricky. Let's see how simple or wonderful an idea we can come up with, Tom. If we can do something in August, that would be great. Worst case, we slide into September, right? But it would be nice if we could definitely follow up on that, make sure something happens. And then
Yes.
it could be a recurring thing each year too. So let's connect offline on that, and apologies to Tim and Recreation Parks and Rec Month for not coming through on that. Next up is any trail maintenance, trail butters, website policies. So trail maintenance. So Will and I and Sati and I went out and did some trail maintenance. I don't know if we did it before the last meeting, or it must have been after the last meeting because it was in early July, right? And then Tom had reached out. He's like, hey, I can do this, that, and the other, but I need keys. So we need to swap keys. So everybody has a couple people to reach out to get stuff, but we do need to do some trail maintenance. So I'm assuming Deerfoot, the trail off Deerfoot probably looks ragged. Has anyone
Is
been-
that Deerfoot towards the center of town that way?
I don't use that trail that often, so that's,
Yeah, next to the Burnett, behind the Burnett place.
yeah. So you go
Yeah.
up to Middle Road,
Yeah,
so
I'm
Parkerville,
sure
Middle
that
Road.
could use a few people. So the question is, who has time when? So we're in early August. So next week, does anyone have Tuesday, the 8th, or Wednesday, the 9th.
I have Tuesday, the 8th.
I think I can do Tuesday the 8th, but the 9th, I'm away the 9th, 10th. and
Yeah, the
11th.
9th is kind of tough for me.
No.
'cause I'm gonna be away on the 10th and 11th.
Well,
And,
hang on, what days? I'm away Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so,
okay,
what-
that's the 9th, 10th, 11th. So,
okay, thank you.
yeah, so Kat and Will, and you said Tom?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sassy, you're away, and Bella, I don't know if you're available.
No, I'm not, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So I said, no, I'm not.
No, okay. Okay, so the three of us, we can meet at the cemetery, grab some tools, and I can do some surveying because I had to cancel a trip over the weekend, so I've got a little bit of time. I can survey the trails and see where we need to divide and conquer. And I'll start charging batteries, so we have that.
And this will be the 8th, right?
Yeah, 8th, Tuesday the 8th. Now, what time can we meet? Can we make it? Because it's now getting dark at 8. Can we meet at 6? Okay.
6 is fine with me.
6 is good.
Okay, so I'll make 6 work too, and then, yeah, we'll see what we can get banged out, for that. And then we might need to do another time. We'll just see how far we can get, with that. And then we want to thank a trail angel when Will and I, was it Will or Sati? Who was it that went to the,
Yeah, I was there, yes.
it was
When we
you
were
to
doing
the bridge, the footbridge?
Bridge, yeah.
Okay.
Somebody did, yeah, somebody
Someone
already did.
had trimmed back at the footbridge on Middle Road off of.
No,
Middle.
that's nice. Good.
Yeah, so we want to thank that trail angel. And so that's that. And so yeah. And then we haven't talked, we were gonna send out notices about the and it's still on our list, about the distribution list that we lost, so I still need to work on distributing that between all of us, and then we all send out notices to the people that had signed up and give them a quick how-to of signing up for our list again.
Do we have that from the town, the quick how-to, very tutorial thing that we can include in our email, like an attachment? This is how you do it, because it is incumbency a little bit.
I mean, I've done it, so I think I can make the how-to and just check with Jay in case, just to double check I've got it right. Because I went through it. Have you guys gone through the process yet?
Yeah, I have, and it took me twice, and I think I'm computer savvy, so
See, that's the thing. No one wants to sign up for a user ID and password. It's just a nightmare.
I know.
I'm still so sad about it, but
Oh, yeah, I went through it. It took me a while too. I finally got it to work though. Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. If maybe he has something, because we can't be the only one saying, "Hey, this is an issue."
yeah.
I just kept hacking at it until it worked, and then I have forgotten what I did.
And people don't have the attention span to hack.
No.
it. You know, they once and it's a one and done. If I can't get through it, then forget it. Like
Yeah.
I will not be doing it. So
Well,
Well,
doesn't Facebook introduce a new feature called Threads? Do we know? Anybody know about that? I
Threads.
don't.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
is
Threads,
Threads competition for Twitter?
yes,
Yes,
it
but it's
is.
driven off of a Facebook. So if you belong to the group, can't you send out messages to your thread? I don't know.
All right,
I'm
Bella,
not a
are you
social media guy.
whiz yet?
That's just.
A little bit
Are you familiar with Threads yet?
Are you picking on the young person now?
with
No,
Threads.
you just called her the young person. I did not. I just asked her as a young person. That's different. Sorry,
Oh.
Bella.
Like Threads
Okay.
on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know anything about it.
Yeah.
It's
Is-
basically just like a group of comments. It's like one main comment and then a bunch of people responding to that comment. It's kind of like a subject and then
Oh,
I
so
already
you
don't-
can't
I
target
I
an
already don't
audience.
care.
Yeah, just like Twitter microblogging, right?
Yeah, I don't care about Twitter either, so I'm not the best person to be out.
How do you find out your news, your weather, your
The radio.
sports, your entertainment?
The radio?
I use YouTube.
Ah, yeah,
See,
Radio is
everybody
the
uses a
best.
different tool,
yeah,
Yeah,
I know.
and everybody still has the good old fashioned email.
Good old fashioned what?
Email.
Email.
I know, right? I remember when text first came out, I was like, I don't need to text, I can email. Why does people need text? And then I adopted it, of course. I said the same thing about IM. Why do you need IM? You've got email and text, but now I use IM.
My daughter made me text because she wouldn't pick up the phone, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so any other questions, comments, or thoughts about what we're doing and anything going on?
No.
Next
So-
meeting,
Next meeting, so we talked about doing it the week of the 14th so that we could talk about the 2 applications that I'm gonna be quickly drafting.
Yeah, I got it.
How is the 15th?
15th,
Uh,
15th.
15th is fine with me. That'd be great.
okay, that's fine.
Hang on, I got a.
This time I'll do the Zoom tonight. Sorry about that last time, guys. People, sorry.
I bumped into Sam at the transfer. He was quite upset.
Now, actually, one question would be about the Zoom. Is that you couldn't do the Zoom because it had already been taken up, or why? What?
No, what happened was I thought I had already reached out about the Zoom. I looked at my Outlook, I saw that it was there, but I was looking at June the 29th, not July the 27th. So I was looking at the wrong month when I said it was there earlier in the week. So because it was like 7 o'clock the night of, it wasn't posted on the website. The public link wasn't posted and the Zoom room wasn't reserved. And so you can't do that after hours.
Oh, okay. So
if you-
that, I mean, as far as open meeting law, I think just having the agenda up is sufficient, but maybe, I don't
It
know.
wasn't because it was noted as a Zoom meeting. so
Zoom only meeting.
Nobody in the public could participate, so therefore it's not a public meeting.
Okay, what time would this August 14th, 15th? August
I'm gonna
15th?
give you one guess. You tell me what time you think it's gonna be.
7:30. 7:30.
No,
In
no,
the morning,
it-
7:30 in the morning. Okay, 7:30
Okay.
AM. all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, so our meetings are at 7:30. I was joking with you. Will,
Okay, well, I have
Haven't-
seven in the morning Rotary meetings. I mean,
oh,
Get up early.
that's just sadness.
I know, that's probably. So is that the 15th?
Yes, Tuesday,
Yeah,
August
Tuesday.
15th. That work for everybody?
Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Yep.
All right, thank you very much, people. Okay, so do we have, does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second,
Great, and let's do roll call. Will Warren,
aye.
Tom McCoolier,
Yes.
Will Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, great. So we adjourn at 8:32 PM. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. And I'm
you.
sending you right now with the
I'll talk with
attachment.
you soon, Tom, and bye.
Yes. Yes. So just give me text me when you're free because my schedule is very fluid.
Okay, and remember next Tuesday, I'll go ahead and put something on our calendar. We're gonna meet for trail work.
Trail work at the shed at 6 PM Tuesday
Meet at the
The-
shed.
at the shed.
All right, and Will, I can pick you up if you want.
That would be fantastic. Thank
All
you.
right, got it. All right, thanks all.
What
Thank you.
about me?
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Have a good
Bye.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.